Welcome to another episode of Relatively Famous, the podcast where I, Chip White, interview relatives of famous people. My famous relative, Vanna White of Wheel of Fortune, hence the podcast. She's my sister. And today we are doing a brother show. This is kind of part two. A lot of families have, one rock star. This particular family has two. Today, I've got the brother of the lead singer from Stryper. I've got Robert Sweet, the brother of Michael Sweet. So our guest today is actually, he's the world famous drummer from Stryper. It's Robert Sweet. So this whole family thing, I'm loving it. And if you're looking for the perfect family vacation, go to visitmyrtlebeach.com. That's visitmyrtlebeach.com. 60 miles of strand, golf courses, amusement parks, amazing restaurants. If you happen to be traveling with an autistic child or a sensory sensitive companion, check out Traveling the Spectrum on Peacock, and you can learn more about that at visitmyrtlebeach.com. And, the cool thing is you might even run into the bass player from Stryper around that area because, Perry is from there. So that being said, I want to welcome today's guest, Robert Sweet.
Relatively Famous podcast with Chip White.
Robert, welcome to Relatively Famous. I'm super excited to have you on, man.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
I'd spoken to to Michael earlier in another episode, and I've met you guys several times. And I know Michael a little better, and I obviously know Perry better because of growing up with his sister and in the area and spend time playing golf and having cigars with him. So I'm super excited to actually spend a little time, with you and get to know you a little bit and find out what it's like to be the world famous drummer for Stryper.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. What is that like? I'm not really sure. I don't much feel like a famous person, but I'm really grateful for the opportunities I've had and, to do things a little bit different and to try to help put out the message Stryper does to the world. So it's my honor.
And you said do things a little different. I love the fact that you set up sideways. Is that a technical thing? Was it just a choice? Tell me why. Tell fans. I'm sure you've explained it 100 times, but I've never heard it. So tell me why.
Well, that's okay. No problem. When I was growing up, I was always the guy who I always said drumming came after me. I always kind of wanted to be a guitar player, yet at the same time, I played drums. And I didn't like how when I would say go to a concert and I could never see the drummer, the drum set covered him up, and it just didn't seem right to me. So I said, I'm going to turn my drums sideways so people can see what I'm doing. And, I did that the first time in 1979 when I was 19 years old. And I remember people asking me about it. And I thought, I'm going to stick with that because it seems to work. It catches people's attention and they do get to see what I do. So it started with just, me wanting the audience to be able to see me. But I will tell you, man, it hurts the left side of my neck, turning most of the time to the left and seeing the crowd. After a couple hours, man, my neck's killing me. But we have played places in the round, where I get to go to both sides. But it's a lot of fun. I try to be different in what I do. I love coming at things from a different angle as long as they work. And I'm really glad I did that so long ago, so we can talk about it today.
Yeah, well, it does work, and it's cool because, look, I love Charlie Watts. I love the fact that he would just kind of sit back there and kind of a little smirk on his face but be amazing. Where you're theatrical, you are part of the show, and it does work, and I don't think it would work as well if you weren't that way.
Well, thank you very much. I've always believed in, when you go to a concert, you're not only there to hear the music, you could sit at home and listen to a CD. You're there not only to hear a show, but to see a show. And I believe if you don't try to offer something for the crowd to see that they'll visually be able to remember, well, you're kind of, I think, kind of cheating them a little bit. So I do want to try to put on a show, not taking away from the music, not, trying to upstage anybody, but just, I want people to walk away going, man, each guy in that band really did it well. So I think sometimes, it's just my opinion, a lot of musicians don't try enough from that angle. And it's like, when you meet a girl the first time, or when a girl meets a guy, the first thing, you're going by vision, you're going by what you see, because that's all you can go by, right?
Yeah.
Or you see that car that you like, you're going to see it first. A couple of examples. And I think, what you see is really important. I mean, I've been told that your brain remembers much more of what you see than what you hear. So I think it's a good thing to be able to give people those memories that 10 years later they can, or 20 years later, they can go, oh, I remember when.
Yeah, because live, you guys rock. I mean, let's just be honest. You guys are phenomenal today as you were 30 years ago. And I was talking to Michael about it. I think a lot of bands at a point kind of start phoning it in, but you guys, you give it all 100% on stage, as in your records, and I think the audience appreciates that, because you definitely have a super loyal fan base.
Well, thank you. We really do. And I remember when Gene Simmons told me that Stryper has the same kind of fan base that Kiss has. And I took that as the greatest compliment in the world. And Stryper really does have a loyal fan base. So, we've always hoped to be better as we get older. You begin to learn the ropes and understand things a little bit more. When we started out, we were just kids. I was the oldest guy in the band at that point. I was 23. My brother was 20 when we signed a record deal. So we were just kids, it was kind of new to us. We had been out, playing for like 5 years prior to getting a record deal. And I had been in a couple bands before I started working with my brother. But thank God we did work together, and that we do work together. He's truly the greatest singer I know. And I feel sad that a lot of times, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. I feel as a band, sometimes we don't get the credit we deserve, but I don't want to complain. Yeah. I'm just grateful to, be able to work with my brother and the guys in Stryper. And it's really nice that we've been able to, touch people and see lives changed and give them some good memories.
Okay, now your brother says that if it wasn't for your dad kind of gently nudging you to audition your brother, you might not be a Stryper today. What was that like? Kind of, I'm going to say he gently nudged, kind of saying, "Son, audition your brother." What was that like for you, and how did it feel to, as he said, my punk kid brother auditioning for me?
Yeah, well, actually the first time Michael and I did something together, he was in the 3rd grade and I was in the 6th grade. And that was our first real time beginning to understand what music was and playing together. And it was just a simple talent show at our elementary school, but we won 1st place. And I walked home with that, trophy going, oh, wow, this is probably going to be my life. This is what I want to do. So that was the start of it. I mean, Michael was playing bass and the Fender bass was as big as him. But, years later, when I'm going to say when he was maybe 14 or 15, my dad started saying, hey, you should really listen to your brother and think about, trying him out. Maybe he was around 13 and I was 16 at that point. And at that age, it seems a lot. Now, when you get older in your 20s, it's not. Yeah. But there's a point in life where it seems like, he's a little bit too young. He couldn't play in the clubs, that kind of thing. But my dad was right. And I'm glad that I did do it. There was a time when my brother was just a good guy, but a little, a practical joker a lot, where it kind of, as many brothers are, it kind of went over the top a little bit. So, but it all worked out. And he's still a practical joker today, and so am I. But I couldn't work with a better singer, I have to tell you. And he's a great guitar player. He doesn't get credit for that one. Also, people are still to this day say, I can't believe Michael plays guitar. I didn't know that. And it's like, how do you not know that? Every single video of Stryper has Michael playing guitar.
I know. We talked about that.
But I'm glad it worked out.
We talked a little about that. So what's the one question that, you wish you'd asked? He's like, people actually ask me if I play guitar, and we kind of had a laugh about that. He has a few guitars. Are you a drum collector, a drum set collector? Do you have a holy grail drum set that you would love to have in a collection? Or are you kind of I've got my drum kit and that's all I need?
Here at my house, I've got, I've got 4 drum kits here. A lot of them are in cases, but most of my gear is packed away with the Stryper stuff. It's been in Nashville, but I think they moved it to Boston. So I'd have a lot more kits, but at one point in time, I had a whole bunch of stuff stolen from me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, that happened also to my brother. I don't know if he mentioned it to you, but he had a whole warehouse of stuff stolen. And so I was hit right after that. And, looking back on it, I wish I would have kept every single set. I didn't understand at the time the impact that it was having. I didn't know other drummers were looking at me going, Rob, I want to, own one of your drum sets. I mean, I've had like hundreds of guys ask me that. And, after I got a bunch of stuff stolen, I kind of took some of the leftovers, since it wasn't a complete set, and sold some of them because, we were moving from a warehouse and we had just a ton of stuff. I couldn't carry it all. At one point we had 6 different large storage units at $300 a month, and that was back, in the late 80s.
Yeah,
just full of gear. And so I did sell some of it. Some of it got stolen. But looking back on it now, I wish I would have done everything in my power to make sure I had it all, because it was some real special custom stuff. So I probably, as far as drum sets right now, I probably got 6 sets.
Now, and Mike was telling us that you were the first to start striping your drum kits, and kind of it caught on, like the Eddie Van Halen guitar, spiderweb guitars. But you started striping, and you kind of brought the yellow and black into the group. What inspired you on the colors, and why?
I just thought it was really cool. We weren't the first band to use yellow and black stripes. I know there were other people out there that had used it, but I never saw them use it the way we did. And I mean, at one point it was pretty insane. I mean, every single thing was striped. I mean, when the lights went on, it was a type of a beautiful chaos, which is kind of what I wanted it to be. I wanted to almost overwhelm you. And it did. And it was really, I mean, back in the day, wow. I mean, we had some pretty incredible setups that were amazing. But I just thought it looked cool. Not so much yellow by itself or black by itself, but in the striped configuration. I always told people, that's what's used on the streets, that caution color, or warning you, with that black and yellow type tape you see put on things, because it grabs your attention. Yep. So all the way back in the late 70s, I had thought about using it for years. I had just never done it. And then starting around 1979, 1980, I started doing that. And it caught on. And next thing I knew, I was striping the guitars and building guitar cabinets and striping them and striping drum sets. And I mean, it really went crazy. I mean, there were 2 or 3 years there where I was striping something every single day.
That's funny. Now, when did you realize the moment? What was the moment where you and Michael, or you looked at each other, or you yourself went, "Holy cow, man, we've made it"? There's the royalty check, or there's the. What was the moment for you where it finally like really sunk in? Like, wow, you know what? We're big.
Well, I would say the starting moment for me was signing a record deal. And shortly after that, hearing one of our first songs on a local radio station where I got to sit in my car at the time and turn on the radio and hear our music over the radio. And I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. That was 1984. But the real big moment came when our first MTV video came out, Calling on You. And that was just spectacular. That was like, that's when my friends would come to me and say, well, hey, man, you finally did it. You guys have made it. Now, I didn't really feel like that at the time. But turning on MTV and watching so many of the heroes that I used to watch all the time on MTV, and I saw us, and I'm like, okay, this is good. It's paying off. This long time of, going through the hell and the stress and everything that it takes to make it, because there's a point, if you decide that you're going to be successful in music, you can't go work a job. You can't do it. It's not like you have a backup plan. It's either music or nothing, and once you jump off that, plank into the ocean of music, you have to swim your way and jump on the cruise ship of success. You have to. It's exhausting, it's tiring, but I know a lot of guys, who had that backup job and they ended up at the backup job. I'm not putting anyone down, thank God that they have it. But I remember thinking, we have to do this 1,000% of the time. And especially in the 80s, man, we did. It was 100%. Now, 40 years later, we have times where there's a few months off here and there. But in the early days, man, it was like I'd be gone for a year. Yeah. I might come home for 2 weeks here, a week here kind of thing, but we were gone a lot.
Now, and you guys, you start Southern California, you're playing in clubs, and Mike and I talked a little bit about it because I've had that moment where praise God, I'm going to go save everybody on the boulevard to, hey God, you know what? She's cute. I'll be right back. And 30 years later, things aren't going great. So you're like, hey, you're still there. How have you kept your faith, and is there struggles for you with it in the years of being, in temptation? I mean, guys, rock stars is definitely a different lifestyle that you get put on a pedestal that people want to knock you off as quick as they can for anything you do. How has that been for you? Has it been tough? Is it easy? Or how do you just hold on to that faith?
Well, I believe that faith has to be something that is real. And I've always told people, you can't just decide one moment that you're going to play in a rock band and that you love Jesus and you're going to let the world know about it, because it is one of the hardest things in the world to do. A matter of fact, it's almost impossible. I mean, you are walking that fine line, and you have to be sincere in both. A lot of Christian bands that I saw back in the day, and I never really listened to a lot of Christian music. Neither did my brother. I mean, we had heard of it, and we knew of many Christian bands, but we were more the guys down in Hollywood or going to see rock bands at the Forum in LA. But you have to, a lot of Christian bands I knew just didn't have that rock and roll vibe where a non-Christian audience would go, I like that band. So, but there weren't any rock and roll bands that we knew of that had the boldness to tell the world about Jesus. So your faith has to be 100% real, but your rock and roll abilities have to be 100% real. You can't be fake in either one. And man, the world either expects you to be perfect or they think the wrong thing about you. They think you're a phony. And it is really tough. Going into it, I knew it might be a little rough, but it got tough at times, man. It really did. And I remember one of the hardest times for me. I'm not trying to put anyone down. I'm just giving you an example. I went on the 700 Club, with Pat Robertson in 1988. And bless his heart, he didn't approve of what was said, but I remember I felt safe there, but I was wrong. And I got in front of the camera, and the first thing the guy asked me, on television was, why do you look so funny? That was the first question that was asked with the camera right in my face. So it's tough, man, to balance it both. But the fact that the Holy Spirit, none of us can do anything without the Holy Spirit. We're all lost and weak and not able. But the Holy Spirit, provides the answers, makes the way happen. And if God has it in your future to take place, it's going to happen. You can't stop God's plan for your life, and he can make the impossible happen. Nothing's impossible with the Lord God. But it's a beautiful thing, and yet it's a rough thing. You're going to face temptation all the time. There are things that, you shouldn't do, because not only is it considered wrong, but it could ruin your career. You could be set up, and I went through that whole thing of, am I being set up right now? I'm a guy that's had a lot of freaky experiences. And one day, hopefully soon, I'm going to put them all down in a book, because I went through a lot of bizarre stuff. But, whenever you become effective, I believe the enemy wants to take you out. And that goes for all of us. And I'm not crazy. Some people make me think that sounds crazy, but I'm just being real about it. I do believe in the devil, and I do believe he wants to remove anyone who's a threat to, his kingdom.
Yeah.
And I really believe the music industry is his kingdom, hands down. I mean, Hollywood is his thing. One of them. This whole world is his thing. But, through the power of Jesus Christ, we are able.
And it's tough because, we're human, and we make human mistakes, and we have human desires, and there's that, like when I was talking to Michael and Perry, like Perry and I love to have cigars together. Michael likes to have a bourbon and cigar, and it's things like that, look, that's just human. It doesn't diminish your faith, but people want to use that as a stone instead of realizing, like, well, it has nothing to do with right or wrong, And
Right.
I think that's been a tough throw at you guys, because you're rock and roll and you are strong in your faith, and you always have been. But you mentioned Gene Simmons. What has been the pinnacle act that you guys have either opened for or had open for you, or that you've played with? What's been like that, kind of like, oh my gosh, man, we've made it. We're playing with so-and-so.
Well, we've had the opportunity on a couple occasions to, get to play on the same stage as Kiss. We've got to play some festivals where hundreds of thousands of people were there. We I remember when Pantera got back together. I was kind of a big Pantera fan before, you know, Dimebag Darrell got murdered. And when Pantera got back together a few years ago, we got to be on the same stage and open up for them that day. And we got to sit back and watch Pantera play again, with Zach playing guitar. And that was a real joy to me. Now, I'd always wanted to open up for Kiss. I mean, I was a huge Kiss fan because there again, the visuals. Yep. And some of those Kiss songs were very simplistic, but boy, you could sure remember them. And I think that's a key to songwriting, is being able to sing along and remember songs. There's a lot of musicians who write very complicated stuff, and it's really cool. I like it. Musicians understand it, but the normal person doesn't. And when you write songs like "I Want to Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day," that's really easy to remember. So I'd always wanted to open for Kiss. So the fact that on a few occasions we got to, share the stage with him was a big deal for me. And Paul Stanley, I'm telling you, man, he is such a nice guy. I really love that guy. He is so nice. I hope I get more opportunities to speak with him. I've spoke with him 3 or 4 times, and he's such a gentleman. I really appreciate him.
Yeah, we're going to have an episode coming up with Evan Stanley and Nick Simmons in the future. They're
amazing.
Yeah,
they're amazing, and I wish we could have got more shows with them. All the guys in that group are truly amazing and very nice. I'd always hoped to open for Van Halen. But that opportunity never came. They were such a big influence to us, and I wish we could have got to have done that. But there's a lot of bands we've played with, and sometimes I didn't even realize we were playing with them. I found out later. I didn't see the opening act, and it's like, really, Guns N' Roses?
Wow, that's pretty
really
wild.
Played with us, really? Or, just name the bands. There was that time, and, where a lot of bands were starting up, and you're on the stage, and there's 5 bands, and you don't really know who's playing. But what an honor that is, Yeah. I remember when we played with Metallica in 1982, and 7 people were in the crowd. And
7?
That was quite an experience.
Yeah, I could imagine. That's pretty intimate.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I understand that you used to have an American flag car that got Michael in a little bit of trouble. He said to ask you your version of that story.
I'm sorry, buddy, you cut out.
Okay. So Michael told me that you used to have an American red, white, and blue car, muscle car, that he got in a little bit of trouble going down the boulevard in. He said to get your version of that story.
Well, I did have a 1969 Roadrunner that was on it was painted as an American flag, the bicentennial year. In 76. It was on the cover of a magazine. I ended up a couple years later buying that car. I'm a big muscle car guy. But if we're speaking about the incident with my brother, my first car was a 67 Pontiac GTO that I got for $850. It was such a nice car. Those days are long gone. And I don't know if you want me to. Did you want me to talk about the story of what happened?
Oh yeah, he told us about it. He just wants to hear your version of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's he was goofing off and his butt's hanging out the window, and right as we passed a police car, and I think the police thought he was doing that to them. And I remember saying, "Hey, Michael, there's a cop behind us." And I pulled over in a parking lot. The cops came up, opened my door, and literally yanked me out of the car, threw the seat forward, and pulled him out. And the cop looked at me and said, "I should arrest you. You were driving." And at this point, I didn't even know what had happened. I didn't know what was going on. But, my brother was just being goofy. And I think there were other cars doing it, so he was doing it back to them. I think that's what it was. Someone had done it to us. And, when you're a kid, you do stupid things.
Yeah.
He was like 15 years old at the time. So just being, silly, and you live and you learn,
I told him I almost didn't get to walk in my high school graduation because I mooned the whole school, and like your car, a car that was recognizable, so there was no denying who it was. At car collector,
well,
what's your favorite? What's been the car that you've owned or own that is your holy grail muscle car?
Well, as far as muscle cars go, I had a 1969 Hemi Dodge RT Charger. I had a 1969 convertible 446 Plymouth GTX. That one was probably my favorite. I mean, that was an incredible car. But it's the cars that you don't get, and that's what breaks my heart. I'm trying to remember that show in the 80s with Don Johnson in it. And he drove a Hemi Cuda convertible, and it was yellow.
Yeah, Miami in San Francisco. No, that was the Cuda was when he was in San Francisco with Cheech Chong. Cheech Mariner was in it.
Yeah, I was supposed to own that car. That was supposed to be mine. But I got back from the To Hell with the Devil tour, and my buddy said, this guy's selling a yellow Hemi Cuda convertible for $7,500, and everyone thinks he's nuts. And I tried to get down there, and someone grabbed it before me. I mean, I was going to buy a Ferrari 288 GTO in 1985. It was $140,000. And that was before, big money started coming in, and everyone thought I was nuts. I almost did it. I wish I would have. I had a lot of people telling me don't do that. Later on, that car would have sold for $5 million after Enzo Ferrari passed away. But I feel haunted by so many opportunities that were so close, and I tried so much to get them, and I wasn't able. And it's happened to me like probably a couple hundred times now.
Oh, man.
So I am a big car enthusiast. My probably the next muscle car I want to get is a 1971 Ford Torino GT with, the laser stripes down the side with the 429 Cobra Jet engine in it. I really want one of those. I think they're really sharp looking.
That's cool. Okay, we're getting close to our time limit here. You guys have your first Christmas album ever, which is shocking to fans, at least for me. It's like, who would surely they would do a Christmas album. What brought this about, and was it fun playing drums on a Christmas album, or did you guys do some classics that were not challenging? What's your take on this great album you guys have just done?
Well, first of all, thank you. You're right. We probably should have done a Christmas record way before now. We did, back in, was it 86 or 85, maybe 85, we did Reason for the Season and Winter Wonderland, but we had talked about it for a long time. And really it was my brother's kind of pushing, going, guys, I want to do a Christmas record. And he made that happen. And it was just like going in and doing a regular record. We have a special studio we use. We go there and we stay at this place. It's beautiful. And we were there for a couple weeks recording. I'm getting ready to go back there on January 3rd to start, tracking for the new regular Stryper record. But it was a fun time. It was like kind of doing just a regular record, but we knew it was a Christmas record. So I'm glad we got to do it. It's finally out, and you never know. We might do another one.
Cool. Okay, last question. It's kind of a dual question. What is the one question that no one ever asked you that you wish they would ask? Or what is the one thing we didn't talk about you wish we'd have talked about?
Oh boy, man. Now that is kind of a deep question. Because I never really look at it that way. Oh man. Boy, you stumped me on that one. I usually never get stumped. On that one, you stumped me. What do I wish people would ask that they don't ask? Boy, I'm not sure. I mean, we've been pretty much asked everything that you can think of, almost. I'm not really sure, buddy. I am so sorry. Maybe it's too early. Maybe I haven't had enough caffeine yet out here, in Vegas. But I'm not sure about that one.
Well, that's good. That means you feel like you've been asked everything that you need to be asked in life, right?
I mean, I've been asked everything. I mean, sometimes I've had to tell people, well, you know what? That I understand the intention here, but that's getting a little personal. I'd rather not go that direction. I mean, I've pretty much been asked almost everything that you can think of. I mean, when you go on Howard Stern, he nails you.
Yeah.
And we were on Howard Stern in 1990, I think it was, and he was just crazy. He asked me if I used rubbers, and I told him that I was allergic to rubber. I'm not. I was just goofing back and forth with him.
Yeah.
And so that might be one thing I wish he wouldn't have asked me, but I think the answer came out okay.
Yeah. Well, we are getting close out of time, man. And, Robert, it's been fun talking with you. Like I said, I haven't had the chance to really chat with you. Briefly down in the lobby here in San Antonio, when Perry and I were heading out to go have some cigars, we got to chat a little bit before the show. But it's been fun getting to know you. You are one, as they say, one hell of a drummer, man, and one great showman, because it's not just the sound, it's the show. And I don't know how you do it, because my arms hurt, my neck hurts just watching you.
Well, thank you so much. Believe me, mine hurt me afterwards. The first 2 weeks of starting the tour, man, after the shows, I'm in a lot of pain. But you know what? I got to do what I got to do. It goes on cruise control. I don't even think about it. It just happens. So thank you for being such a great guy and being so nice and asking such good questions. And I really appreciate you.
Hey, man, we enjoyed it. And thank you. And look forward to our paths crossing again.
Okay, buddy. God bless. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Robert.
You've been listening to Relatively Famous with Chip White. Please like and subscribe to Relatively Famous with Chip White.